upcoming talk is called It's My ID, It's My Decision. And we have two speakers. Jörg Heidenreich, Group Sales Director at WebID, and Melanie Koestler, Director, Global Trust Technology Platform, also from WebID. Welcome to the stage.
Also einfach nix und ich gebe dir dann das Ding, ne?
Genau.
Ab wann fangen wir denn an?
Ich glaube, du kannst loslegen.
Warten wir noch eine Minute, oder?
Fangen wir an.
Should we start? Yeah. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Melanie Köstler from WebID. I'm Director of Global Trust Technology Platform, and that's my wonderful colleague Jörg Heidenreich, Group Director of Sales. As Marcus explained in his speech just before us, digital identities enable many things in the future, and we want to explain you a little bit and tell you a little bit about the evolution of KYC, Know Your Customer, into digital identities. The Global Trust Technology Platform is something which tries to solve some problems for our customers, because we have companies, service providers, governments, and consumers who always have the same problem. They need to try to find somebody who helps them to do anything in the field of identities, signing, and risk, and have a hard time finding the right companies. And therefore, it's a lot of time theft, so all these problems are time thieves, and we try to help them with the Global Trust Technology Platform. So what is the Global Trust Technology Platform? We do what we did in the past 10 years. WebID, by the way, is the inventor of video identification 10 years ago. And we combine on this Global Trust Technology Platform all our technology, all the technology of our partners, technologies of what we do not offer, but we want to give it to our clients, and even we onboard our competition, which some people call it frenemies, but we call it a very fruitful and great partnership. So some of our partners, for example, are Verimi or Onfido, who are also well known, do the same like we do, but we collaborate. And of course, we also work with government and with consumers, but how we will do this, I will explain you a little bit later. First, I will introduce Jörg, and he will give you a sneak preview of all our products.
Yeah,
welcome Jörg.
Everybody. Thanks for having us. There's a lot of talks about European identity wallets, eIDAS 2.0, but there's also the reality of what is out there today. So to give you a feeling about the products we offer to serve the needs for today, and Mel will take over later to speak more about the future, what our plans are, but we have around 300, 350 corporate clients. A lot of them are banks, and they have to identify their users on different levels. So some of it might sound quite boring, like a video call. Others might sound difficult, but at the end of the day, it's all easier than walking to the next post office and identifying yourself when opening a bank account, when renting a car, when marrying. In the city of Wiesbaden, for example, you can register your marriage through WebID by identifying yourself online before you actually do this nice act. So we have different products in our world for different needs. So you have eIDAS on the European level, which is like the base layer where you are asked to identify users on this level in certain countries, and Germany is one of them, obviously. You have some extra layers on top to make it more difficult and expensive and bothersome to identify your users or customers. So what we started with was the most difficult part, which is the video ident replacing the post-ident solution. Our founder invented it like 10 years back. It took him 3 years to discuss it with the BaFin, and now it's running for, I think, 7 or 8 years. And to give you a feeling what that means, a user comes to us, video call, one agent on our side will identify the user in a face-to-face video call, representing the same level of security than going to a branch of your bank, for example. Most of you probably have used it, at least when you're German citizens, when opening a bank account. So what happens is you end up in our in-house call center, and they do in about 15 to maximum 35,000 calls per day, which is quite impressive for a solution where it feels like, oh, this is quite a thing to do, to sit in front of somebody, show your passport, get checked, get asked questions, but at the end you have a certified identity, which is a lot quicker, like 3 to 5 minutes, compared to leaving your house, going to the post office, which might be closed already because it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we have about 1,000 video call center agents, and you should think of them like trained agents on passports and ID cards in 156 countries, where they will look at each single ID card on a very detailed level. So they will see if there's a fake passport, where there's an accent missing, or things like that. So it's highest quality you can get, and the users seem to love it. I would sometimes prefer other options, but our users, the majority, if we give them the choice, they rather go through a video call than an unattended process where they just have to understand how the thing works. So they prefer to be guided through the process. That's what we still see. Some numbers about the acceptance, how happy the customers are, the speed, the comfort of the process. To give you a feeling, waiting time last week was about 18 seconds to be connected to one of the video agents, so there's no long waiting times. So in 5 minutes, the thing is done. But there are other levels, other products which work on the same level. So the highest level, GBG and Anti-Money Laundering Act in Germany. So we thought for those users that don't want to go through the process of a video call, or if they want to identify at midnight where our call center is usually closed, then they can go through an automated process where we combine a log into the online banking with a video selfie of the person and his passport, doing liveness detection, face recognition, hologram checks, and all that nice stuff. Log into the online banking, sending a PSD2 payment to our bank account, and signing the process with a qualified electronic signature. So this combination makes it as compliant as a video call or in-person check at the branch. And those are the GBG compliant solutions. But we have other customers like AOK is the largest health insurer in Germany. If they send out their new Gesundheitskarte, so the chip card you get from your AOK, then you activate the card by going through one of our processes. So that's below the level the banks have to follow, but it's good enough for a health insurer, for example. At the end of the process, there's a manual recheck of one of our agents, or in the case of our car, they're using their own call center agents to manually review it. And this means that we get certified to work on that level with a health insurance. Then you have companies that don't have any regulatory requirements, so they don't have to check their users, but they might check their users for other reasons, like if you think of an e-commerce merchant that wants to block robots from buying the latest graphic cards and reselling it for a higher price. Those merchants use our system rather to prevent fraud, to minimize the risk of a payment. And those guys would just do a selfie thing, which you get from a lot of companies out there. So it's front side, back side, and a selfie. Those are the main products we're working with today. Last but not least, for a lot of our customers, within the process of onboarding a new customer, a bank, for example, might want the user to sign some kind of contract. That's why we're adding a qualified electronic signature optionally to all our processes, which means you have one step where you go through identification, and you sign a contract to apply for a loan, to maybe sign some property contract outside of Germany, because you need a notary, of course. So we can always combine this signature, legally binding signature, with our identification processes. Yeah, that's the products pretty much we offer today, and the use cases. So you see it's a wild field of different requirements our customers have, or the regulators have. So you think of the TKG law for telco, think of the BaFin regulation for a bank. If you think of a gambling merchant following the Glücksspielstaatsvertrag, they all have different requirements. They all have different demands beside the pure identification. Some might need a QES. Some might need an external database to be connected to our global platform, and we can deliver all of that in one go, so they don't have to pick all the different solutions from different suppliers. So that's pretty much what we do today, but there's a future to all of that, to give control to the user how to use his identity, which is stored in our system, and how to self-manage his identity, to enrich it somehow, and to make it available to customers. But like in the banking world, it should be the user's decision. The user wants the power to decide who he's sharing the data with, and that's the new stuff we're doing, which is even more exciting than the old stuff. And for the new stuff and the exciting stuff, it's back to Mel again.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Frank, who is the founder of WebID and invented the video identification 10 years ago, finally disrupts his own invention. As you saw of the presentation from Jörg, we do all kinds of verifications, and we do a new invention, a recreation of our own ideas. KYC, a little bit different. And it's, of course, non-conform. We have the database of our client. We compare it with our database. We, in general, have in Europe over 20 million digital identification processes, out of which we have 11 million in Germany alone, which are the highest level, which is AML, anti-money laundering compliant, and we compare the database of our client with our client in real time. That means we can do the KYC much faster than anyone else. If it's a match, the user is verified only in a couple of few seconds, and we do not need any video identification or any other way of identification which we know to do. But if the user is not yet in our database, then of course we can put a fallback solution, which means if he's not there, we want to verify him, then it depends on the client if it's a video identification or an AI identification in whatsoever. To explain you what this now has to do with digital identities, or so-called self-sovereign identities, means the user can decide if he wants to store the identity with us, and that means that he can reuse for one-time sign up at a bank, for example, and he identified himself one time, then he can reuse his identification, encrypted, we don't read the data, at any other bank, for example, or at any other verification process they need. With banks, we have the AML compliancy. That means we need to renew that identification every 2 years by law. But for other things, like for some normal registrations or verifications, you can use it for a whole life cycle until the user wants to delete it, for example. But then sometime, sooner or later, he has to be with us or with one of our competitors in order to identify himself. And if he's registering with us or with our GTTP partners, then he will be again in our TrueID database. With this, it's AML compliant, so it's the highest security level. WebID only acts as a messenger, so we do not read the data, as I said. We have 11 million digital verified identities already and steadily growing. And of course, we work with the GTTP over one single platform, which makes everything fast and nice. The TrueID USPs, anytime, 24/7, highest conversion possible. That means we don't lose any more new clients in a verification process due to time, due to waiting or whatever. It's in real time. It has the lowest error rate because the people are in our database already verified, so there can be no errors, or almost no errors, maybe when they marry and some things, but usually no. And we act only as a messenger, so that means we do not use the data, and we include other stored identities of our partners. That opens up the doors to many new verticals. As you hear here at the exhibition many times, digital identities are the base of many things and processes other companies do, and that's why it's so important to have this digital identity in the future. Digital identity, called self-sovereign identity, means I decide. It's my identity and I decide, it's my decision. What do you want to do? If you want to use it or not, and for what you want to use it, it's up to you. And that's what is our new concept. We launched this in July, 1st of July, and it's our MyID wallet. That means you don't need anymore your purse, you don't need anymore your driver's license, you don't need your app for the vaccination. You have everything in one single app. And this is steadily growing. We launched it 1st of July, so watch out for it. And we would be really happy if you would use it. Maybe you are already in our database, and maybe you already use it, or said that you want to use it, because in Germany, as I said, we have every 4th German in our database already. And if they want, they can use it right away. These are some of our clients. We have some more, which are not, they don't fit on the screen. But if you are interested to talk to us about any topic of what we presented right now, then we would be really happy that you would talk to us after this talk, because we have some couple minutes left. And then thank you very much for your time. And we are here or outside?
Outside, we have a stand down
outside, there. And then talk to us if you want. Thank you very much.